Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. In this video I'm going to go through in trying to make it really quick the AFL fantasy trade targets for round 4. We have quite a lot of guys that are still very valuable in terms of cash generation, so we've got a couple of negative break evens that are negative 10 plus, so yeah, there's a couple of guys that are really valuable there. So anyway, let's just jump into this video. So Davidson has the lowest break even after that 125, was it? Yeah, 125, negative 39. He's pretty much guaranteed to make almost 100k. Because yeah, if he scores 64, that's a 103 difference in his break even, and he goes up 90-ish k. So if he does do another 80 plus score, he's going to go up, and I still think there's value in selecting him or trading him in if you somehow don't have him. He is 55% owned, so if you don't have him, I'd be getting him in after that 31 disposal 10 mark effort against Carlton. He has Freo this weekend in Fremantle at Optus Stadium, so he could he may put up a low score, but I still think you just need him. He's going to be the guy. He's pretty much all but guaranteed to be a guy that jumps up. I mean, just look at this here. He's probably almost guaranteed if he just scores 50s. I think let's actually just do this and just fantasy price projector. Let's go here, and we'll go to forwards, and we'll go to Davidson. We'll go to Davidson here. I should probably just do it in this, because then it just gets rid of everyone there. And if we just go, he's going to score 40s, because we're just saying that's pretty much guaranteed cash, 40, 30 at his role or whatever. If he scores 40s for the next 3 weeks, he still projects to make 113k. If you up that to 50, which, let's even just go even further down and say 30. So 30, he's still guaranteed to make 84k in the first 2 weeks and then drop 8k in the third week. If you put it up to 50, he goes 81, 47, 22. What's that? 103 plus 47, 150k from just averaging 50. So yeah, he gets himself up to 562, and if he does average 60, then we get him at 598k, which would be a gain of, what's that, 486k? Sorry, 186k, not 486, 186k. 186k, 64k, 62k per week that he is projected to gain on average for the next 3 weeks if he just averages 60. If he somehow pulls out, and this is why this is so freakish in a way, if he somehow pulls out an 80 this week, then that cash gen is so massive. Like, let's just say he averages 80, because that could happen. He's averaging close to that for the year. Then he goes 106k, 87k, 67k. He goes from 412 to 672, which is 260k in 3 weeks. You need him. I said that I was going to try and make this quick, but I've spent 2.5 minutes on Davidson. Moraes, the numbers pile up pretty much the exact same. I'll just show you Moraes's numbers here. Moraes, 77, 77, 77 will get him to 587k very quickly. That would be 250k, basically 249k in 3 weeks if he averaged 77. But if he averaged 40, which is sort of the number that I'll use if for almost guaranteed cash, you still see him making 112k in the next 3 weeks, guaranteed cash. Hall, minus 16. Zach Reed, minus 13. Zach Reed on the bye as well, so it doesn't matter about him, and Curtin as well, minus 6, so he is guaranteed cash as well, as he's got 2 good games back to back in his system after a 30 in week 1. And that's what I was saying about Curtin. This is the worry, is that he just goes back to a goalless game and doesn't impact too much and scores like a 40. Corey Warner, minus 6 break even. He's probably going to, I think, hold the... Let's look at Warner here quickly, because I think he's slightly different because he's got that lower break even, but I think he holds true with still a 40. You can see a 40, he makes 70k there with a 40, and you'd expect him to have a potential 50 average there at least, which would put him at gaining another 107k, so there's massive cash gen for him in the next 3 weeks, and you'd expect him to hold in the side with Sydney's injury list. So him there. Connor Stone, I expect a spike game from him sometime soon. It could come this week, it could come next week, but he's building into it as well. That's the thing. He's gone, what's he gone? 50, 40, and then 68. I expect him to hold his place in the side, and if he can just get a sort of 80 plus game, that's when he's going to fly. Harry Boyd, we wait. Riley Bice, definitely much more of a super coach pick than a fancy pick at this point, just because the break even isn't as big as like Moraes and Davidson, and I've just given away my trades there. So there's that. Moraes coming in. Let me actually just do it so that I don't give away the obvious the other one. There we go, so that's better. So yeah, I don't give away the the big boy that I'm upgrading to, I would say. But yeah, that's all of the sort of rookies to talk about, the cash generators, and then we go to the coach's choice for trade in, and we'll talk about trade out as well. So here we go. So trade in, Moraes, obvious one. He's just obvious. As a midfielder, there's a lot of midfielders you can drop, and he's the obvious one to trade into because, that 21.4k, it's just, I don't know how to say obvious more times. He's a guy that I think will be 15k, well, he's already 15k, could be 20k more trade-ins this week than anyone else. Bice we talked about as well. Rankin, first primo that comes up, he's a guy that I've looked at as well and how to get around him. I just don't know if I want STK on my side anymore or whatnot with that. As with only 2 trades in fantasy, it's a lot harder to get to move all of the 5 mid prices or whatever that we have that you can't really do much with. So I've considered Rankin and guys like that. I've also considered Marek and how he would work up in terms of, he's got a 4 break even as well and 101 in his system for a couple of weeks, and that 31 drops out. So you'd expect if he does go big this week that his break even is going to hold relatively low. And he's going to jump up in price. They have him 40, 55, 52. He also did a 74 last week, the week before that, so I expect him to do really good numbers there. So he's definitely a guy to consider. Liberatore, even with the Bont and Treloar and guys like that, the Bulldogs injury list, I still don't think you trade into him. He's 32 and he's going to have problems, and at this point you're trading into guys that you really want to hold for the year, especially midfielders, I would say. The forwards you can take a little bit of a swing on, just because their line is a little bit shallower than the midfield line. Sinclair, understand this completely. He's a guy that has been in the trade targets this week for me, has definitely featured in my side. Definitely a guy I'd consider. Simkin, I understand this. I'm still just hesitant on him holding the role, but as I said in that North Melbourne review, which is about to go live just now, he could be an interesting one that could just be annoying for us content creators to actually grab, because we're just like, the role doesn't add up particularly, but also the underlying, as in the CBAs, etc. But he is still getting the contests around the ground, so he still is a really good buy. So it's a confusing one, I feel like, and one that I definitely need to look into more. Dacos, I'd be waiting. George Hewitt is waiting for him, absolutely waiting for him. If we go to AFL lineups, you can see it. Like, I don't know whether they'll push him to half back or something, but Perryman, Crisp, Dacos, De Koning, Chera and Hewitt and Cripps. So you got Hewitt basically all but lined up on Nick Dacos. Can he hold him to a sub like 110, 115 score? Will be interesting. Dacos does have a 99 break even. I just think you can wait a couple more weeks because he's going to cop James Jordan. He is going to cop James Jordan. He's got tagged this week in Hewitt, tagged this week in next week in James Jordan. Then he comes up against the Brisbane Lions at the Gabba. That could be interesting with Berry tagging or not. He's getting, I would argue, at least 2 tags, if not 2.5 tags in the next 3 games. I don't want to trade into that. Whereas, as I've been saying all along, this Essendon game here, we're going to be upgrading by that point. He's just an easy upgrade at that point. He'll be around the 1 million, maybe a little bit less. He'll have the Sydney game flushed out of his system. He might have even scored well against Brisbane. He might go 110 against Brisbane, etc. He's got this game here where they are tagging him, most likely, but he's still going to go well because it's Anzac Day and he does really, really well on Anzac Day, and Parrish could be back in, Sardis could be back in as well. They might not have Caldwell, which could actually help out the capability of Nick Dacos if Caldwell is out for an extended period of time. We don't know that yet. I haven't seen what Caldwell's injury timeline is. I think they're still TBC it. Zorko, understand that trade in. Nod can understand it as well. Hall, Rowell and Travalia. Yeah, I can understand Travalia as well. 14. He did score only 63, so you can probably Yeah, you can't really wait another week because of his inflated price tag. If he goes and scores a 50, you probably could, I feel like, but I just think there's better options in guys at the top here with Reyes, who's around about the same price but has a negative 27 break even compared to 14. That's 41 points difference. And as shown, he's got better top end with a 76 average. He scored 3 worse in one game and 30 more in another. So just shows you, I think he's a better selection over the likes of a, who are we talking about? Toby Travali. I've completely forgot that. Tom De Koning, would I be trading in Tom De Koning? Pitnet's listed as available but not selected. If Carlton lose another, which they could easily do tomorrow, then that'll be interesting if De Koning, but De Koning's been their shining light, so I don't think they would, especially because with the St Kilda offer there on his head and on his mind, I don't know if they want to put Mark Pitnet in the side that would almost be waving the white flag of, yeah, he's going. So yeah, will be interesting there. And then we get to the trade outs. I've somehow kept it to 11 minutes. Will Day, understand this on the buy. A guy that I traded out last week, he's done not much. What did he do last week in terms of, he didn't actually change in price. So yeah, he's just sort of been a failed pick outside of that start that he had. Xavier Lindsay, and Lucas Camporelli not selected. That's probably going to sway things, I think. Why did they not select him? Why didn't they? So they kept him on, not even on the, Vossi. Oh, that's confusing. Camporelli, probably a guy that should go now, or potentially. Should he go? Potentially. We'll see. 7 break even. You can probably just hold him at that price because you're not going to really move him to anyone. But that really is dumb that he's not getting selected for games. Shows that Vossi still hasn't learned where the problems are, rather than dropping a half forward, half back, and half forward. Sorry, small forward, and a half back. And you brought in youngsters as well. So you think a Dave Bowen's really going to do better? You've dropped effectively your 20th, 21st and 22nd worst player in the side and expect the 3 players there to do better. Like, I am just confused. But yeah, Xavier Lindsay I think actually could be a hold if you can get away with it. But a lot of people have guys like Hasty, if you're like me, Hasty and guys like that, so you can't really do that. So yeah, he could be a hold though still. I feel like just because he's got a 37 break even, his cash generation is going to flip around, I feel like. But he does have a lot of cash on his head at 459k. When Francis understand this, De Koning as well as Sanders, yeah, you can tell your team's really bad when you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the top 9, 7 out of even just 10 of the top 10 trade outs. Probably not a good sign, I would say. So yeah, that probably sums up my fantasy year, but it is what it is there. But I think all these guys are pretty good trade outs as well on the buy, a couple of guys on the buy there as well. And Nevitt probably also was just a hold because I don't think it'll be subs kind of killed off my fantasy last round. But anyway, that is the video there, going through all the fantasy trade targets for the round. Kept it relatively short for you guys, but if you guys did enjoy that video, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload. If you are listening on Spotify, give me a follow and a rating over there, and I'll see you guys back again for the Supercoach trade targets in a little bit. Bye guys.